very much appreciative of that. The time is 3:43, Friday the 17th of March. This weekend is a very important one, especially on Sunday, because this Sunday is Mother's Day, a day to celebrate, a day to give thanks to all of our mothers or mother figures in our lives, new mums, grandmothers, all that good stuff. But although that is a massive, huge part of it, and of course, if that's something you're able to do, then do it with all of your heart. But it can be a very tough day as well for those who maybe have lost their mums, lost their grandmothers, or even their children. So if that is you, we're going to look at it from this perspective. If Sunday is looking to be challenging, then stay tuned in, because my next guest is here with some help and advice. So the Co-op has partnered with the charity Bereavement Care to help people to find their local bereavement groups and support. Now, Michelle Monaghan is a funeral director from the Co-op and joins us now to tell us a little bit more about it. Michelle, thank you so much for being here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sanchez. Thanks for inviting me on.
It's very important that you're here. In fact, of course, I mentioned there in the beginning that Mother's Day can be and should be amazing and celebratory, but there's, of course, other circumstances where it's not. This can be a really tough time for anyone who's lost someone, can't it?
It can, and we've partnered with Cruise Bereavement at this time, but throughout the year as well, to offer support to those who have gone through a bereavement. But it can be particularly poignant at this time of year when these things happen. There's a bit of a myth that life goes back to normal, but grief revisits at any time, and this can be one of those times when people are thinking about that relationship with the mums or as a mum.
And I mean, it's kind of a simple yet complex question, but how does it affect people? Because I'm guessing it can affect people in completely different ways. It can probably affect the same person different ways depending on what triggers it.
It absolutely can. There's for some people this will be quite a difficult time. They may find it quite hard. For others, they'll be celebrating and they'll feel quite happy, and they'll be happy with the memories that they've got. And there's no right or wrong. That's a really important thing. It's each individual needs to do whatever is right for them on this day specifically.
Now, with grief, it can be very tough, and I say that not even for the people around, but the people who are grieving, because they want to not put this on other people. I found so many people that should be fully letting their emotions run wild just to be able to express them, and they are the ones that are still trying to be strong for others. Is there a fear sometimes that people try to keep their grief private and in that way not deal with it, that becomes unhealthy?
Yeah, I think there is. I think, people are frightened in their own grief that they are, going to bring the atmosphere down or have that sort of effect on other people. But actually, talking really helps the process of grief. And those around often want to help, but might be frightened themselves to broach the subject because they don't want to remind somebody that they're grieving. Just to say, nobody needs reminding, they will remember. It is part of it, but it's healthy for people to talk. So if you can find yourself, either in people in your local area, your family and friends, or even people in the community, that you can speak to, then that's going to help you. And remember that you're not alone. If you feel like you've not got somebody there to talk to, Cruise, for example, have a helpline that you can call. And there's loads of support online as well, which you can access through Co-op Bereavement Help website.
And this is what it's all about, knowing where you can go to get this support. And from people like yourself who've got the expertise. So let's talk about that, because you mentioned that there's people that obviously care and want to help. So what can you do? Let's flip it. If you're a friend or a loved one, and you know that someone's struggling, how do you check in on them? How do you approach them? How can you, spark this conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, if you're struggling to know what to say, tell the person you're struggling to know what to say, but just remind them that you're there and, you're happy to talk, and let them lead the conversation. I would encourage you to tell your loved ones, put themselves first on that day, spend the day doing something that they want to do. For some, that might be doing something in memorial of a loved one. So, buying that person's favourite flowers, sitting and having a cup of tea and a slice of the favourite cake, something like that. For others, it will be spending some time on their own, maybe getting out, going for a walk, going somewhere you used to spend time together. Things like that can really help on Mother's Day to have that memory and, making sure that you're doing something in recognition of that person.
And it's really important to be able to have these different options. Like you said, it's not no one shoe fits all. And even the very same person that dealt with grief one way in the next minute may feel a different way. It's about being open to expressing it in the most natural way that comes to you. And it's very, very tough. And that's why these days are important to think about other people. Even though we are going to be celebrated and so many people will be, there will be others who are in a very different position. What are some of the ways that you can use this day to remember and celebrate the person that you lost? I believe, you never know how you're going to deal with situations, but I'm very much, or I'd like to say, sadly, whenever I do leave this earth, I do hope people celebrate and party in my name and remember the good times. How can people maybe try and attempt to implement that in their lives?
Yeah, a lot of times we would pass on that sentiment to people, whilst we are still alive, to say, I don't want you to be sad, I want you to celebrate and remember the happy times. So just getting together with people, spending time with family and friends. You can hold an event if you like, go for as long as the weather's okay, you can go for a picnic or something along those lines. But for some people, that would be too much, so again, going back to that individual, if it's right for you, you might just want to sit with your closest loved one, and share a few memories privately. And that's okay too.
I love that, and I feel like both of them, like you said, there's no wrong or right answer. And I think the big sentiment that needs to be really hit home is that it's important that people should reach out for help if they need it. Don't suffer alone. Again, just reminders. Where can people go to get this advice if they need it?
Yes, so if they want to speak to somebody, they can contact Cruise, and they have a helpline. The number's 0808 808 1677, or if you go on to Co-op Funeralcare website and /bereavement help, there's a load of information and a guide on there that we've pulled together with Cruise, with some ideas, some sort of debunking myths and normalising grief, but also practical help about getting back out into the community, which can be difficult following a death.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Michelle. And, we do wish you a great Sunday, regardless if you're celebrating or remembering. It's all about being unapologetically yourself and just being expressive. And thank you for your advice and information.
It is. Thanks, Sanchez.
Thank you very much. BBC Radio Leeds, you're here with me, Sanchez Payne. Michelle Monaghan there, funeral director from the Co-op. They've partnered with the charity Cruise Bereavement Care. Because this Sunday, being Mother's Day, it may, for so many of you, be a celebration, be love and light. It may also be a sad and very tough time for those that have unfortunately lost someone they care about. So just for you to maybe be aware of that, and if you are someone who's suffering from it, just know that you are not alone. There's people out there that care and cherish you. Now, if you have been affected by any of the issues that we've just talked about and explored, remember you can visit the BBC Action Line for any advice and support. That is bbc.co.uk/action line, bbc.co.uk/actually